Sir, I have two questions. How we understand union of Shiva and Shakti from non-dual Vedanta perspective? And second question is how to surrender to Guru consciously?
These are symbols. Shakti represents everything in motion, everything that can be experienced, everything that you can think of. Shakti represents the totality of that. If Shakti represents everything in motion, one feels like asking, why is everything in motion in the first place? Why is everything moving? Let's begin with ourselves. Why does the mind move so much? Why does the individual never rest anywhere? Why are you always thinking? Why do we always want to reach somewhere? What is this quest for attainment, achievement? What is desire that fuels all our movements? We move, it seems commonsensical, so that we may come to a point where there is no further need for movement. Is that not so? No one moves to remain moving. No one walks to remain walking. No one begins a journey with no end. So if we are constantly in motion, both physically and mentally, that tells us something about who we are. We are entities deeply in desire of something. And that's why we are constantly in motion. Otherwise, who wants to move? Otherwise, why would there be such unrest and disquiet within? You'd never find any person, even a non-human organism, that is perfectly still, whether physically or mentally. Consciousness moves. Consciousness moves. And it moves in search of a final destination. A place where there is no movement at all. A place where there is no experience at all. The clock keeps ticking so that you can come to a certain and ultimate timelessness. We value experiences so much. We want experiences of all kinds so that we may come to a point where there is no further need for experience, where we are beyond experience. We keep looking at faces, we keep meeting people, we keep entering into relationships. Because we want to come to a point where there is no further need to look at any face or form. Where there is no need to further remember any names. That point is symbolically represented by Shiv. Shakti is movement, Shiv is destination. Those who are inclined towards having the right kind of movement worship Shakti. Those who are inclined towards the destination, those who have fallen in love with the destination itself, worship Shiv. The fact is that the two are inseparable. Are you getting it? Shakti is the totality of all our experiences. Everything that is in space-time is contained in Shakti. And space-time does not exist for itself. It exists for the sake of its dissolution. Had it existed for its own sake, you would have succeeded in somehow, at any point, finding contentment in it. But we do not know of any person who has managed to find ultimate contentment in anything in the field of space-time. Is there anything in the entire universe that can perfectly satisfy you? No. What does that tell you about your own consciousness? It is looking for something beyond, something transcendental. Now, that something transcendental is not an object of thought. It is not something you can think of, ideate, or conceptualize or imagine. That which is beyond imagination, formless, nirakar, nirgun, attributeless, that is called as Shiv. To give a form to Shiv is not a very proper thing. It is some kind of human compulsion to always search for forms, because we cannot think without forms, we cannot think without names. So even to the formless, we assign a form. Even to the nameless, we give a name. Irrespective of what we do, you must understand that Shiv is the name of the final, nameless, formless, attributeless, shapeless, timeless truth. Why are we calling Shiv as truth? Because by definition, that which is changing, that which does not remain what it appears to be, has to be called as false. There is nothing in the world that remains what it appears to be. In fact, since things are changing every moment, and it takes time for you to perceive anything, therefore, by the time you perceive anything, it has already changed. Has it not? That's the reason why the world is called as false. It is not what it appears to be. Even stuff that we call as factual is actually not factual, because of the gap between the observed phenomena and the observer's perception. There is a lag. And that lag is sufficient for the observed entity to change. Therefore, what is the truth? Only something that which cannot be experienced. If it can be experienced, it is false. You can understand it further to mean that the experiencer itself is false. Why? Because the experiencer places so much trust in his experience. He says, it is the truth because I am experiencing it. It exists because I am seeing it. It was said because I heard it. Because you heard it, it becomes the truth? Seriously? There are so many of you here, and I suppose I am one person saying one thing, but I am so sure that no less than 200 versions of what I am saying are being heard here right now. The experiencer is false, but the experiencer is just too self-confident. The experiencer says, because I am testifying through my ears that such and such thing has been said, therefore it has been said. I am the proof. No, you are not the proof. Ask your neighbor. He has not heard the same things as you have, even in the last 15 minutes. Are you getting it? That is the reason why Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Shiv is called the truth. Because anything that is within the purview of experience cannot be fully trusted.
Hello, sir. Sir, I want to ask a question that what is consciousness? So, how can we say that a system is conscious or not? So, whenever I try to find an answer to this question, I So people explain it very abstractly. So I don't find any scientific explanation. So how can we say like there is a stone lying on a footpath? It is conscious or not? So mostly people say that living beings are conscious, whereas non-living beings are not. It is flow of energy. It is flow of energy through space and time, as Albert Einstein also said. So, sir, I want you to explain explain it in a scientific way. So, yes.
Anything that experiences is conscious. Consciousness is the entire domain of your happiness, sorrow, likes, dislikes. Everything that is rising is in the domain of consciousness. Everything that is falling is in the domain of consciousness. Who is the conscious one? The one who experiences. How do you define experience? The urge to not remain who you are. That's what makes an entity conscious. And the process of consciousness is via duality. I do not want to remain who I am using what I am perceiving. I want to change, so I want to use this to change. This is the process of consciousness. The conscious entity is the one that's experiencing this. Experiencing this in order to change. Right? Does the stone have a quest for liberation? It's a far-fetched thing to say. So even if you want to say that every particle in the universe is conscious, then the level of consciousness is extremely low. Who then is a highly conscious entity? The one who has a strong urge for liberation. What is liberation? Everything that limits your experience. Mind you, a conscious entity is an experiencing entity. Everything that limits your experience is a bondage. The one who realizes that bondage, feels suffocated, and rebels against it, is a conscious entity. There is no complication, no abstraction in it. When you want to rise higher, when you just cannot remain the one you are, when you have a choice unlike a stone, then you are conscious. You are lying somewhere, you are pushed aside. You have a choice. The stone is pushed aside. The stone does not have a choice. Or even if it has a choice, it is lying very, very latent within the stone. The stone will one day become soil. The soil will one day become a fetus. Before that, it will become food. And the fetus will then turn into a human being. And that's when the stone will develop choice. So even if you want to assert that the stone too is conscious, its consciousness is lying greatly dormant within itself. So the stone will have to go through a lot, undertake a long journey to come to a point where it can say it has an active choice. Till then, nothing.